What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So over the weekend, we had another big Switch title leak out online. Go figure. This one, though, is interesting because as more and more videos have started to pop up online, I can tell you the company behind this game doesn't mess around. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Microsoft's big release that just came out in early access, I guess, this past week as they're off to a fast start. And we're also going to be talking about Nintendo Switch Online, as Nintendo themselves did talk a bit about the overall numbers they have for the service and some plans going forward. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with Grand Theft Auto Trilogy, the definitive edition. It's out this week on the 11th, and I'm looking forward to going back and checking out some of these games, specifically Vice City, but San Andreas will drop right into Game Pass, so we can check that out either way, even before you pick it up to see what you think of it. But one thing people have been wondering is, how will the game look on the Switch? Well, we did have a bunch of screenshots that were shared, and we can kind of see them here as we're going through, and for the most part, it looks fine. I mean, the thing with this game is, obviously, these are based on PS2 games, so they're not going to look over the top. Like, people were hoping they would look like Grand Theft Auto 5, just as an example. Not quite. They seem to want to build on kind of the nostalgia here, and we've already gone over the people's opinions on how the game itself looks just in general for art style. But it does appear that the Switch itself should be playing the games fine. The only thing I am curious about, though, we see what it looks like, comes down to the frame rate, obviously, because that would be a big deal for the Switch if there were issues with the frame rate. I guess we'll find out more as we head through this week and the game releases, but also keep in mind, it's going to be digital first, and then we'll have physical copies released later. Unfortunately, more and more box arts have been popping up in different regions for the Switch, and each one of them does have that download requirement banner on the front of it. So if you're thinking about holding out for physical, it might just be worth picking up the digital copy because you're mostly going to be digital either way. Also, we did get some information around Elden Ring, specifically that it will have a performance mode. We can see this page here. This was shared over on Bandai's website where they went over different specs and compatibility for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. That does, of course, cover Xbox One and PlayStation 4, as well as the Pro and One X. We also have the Series S and the Series X with the PS5, and they do label with the little 2 there for the up to 60 FPS on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X using a performance mode, which is great to hear that we will have a mode we can pick that will lock us, I guess, more in line with just 60 FPS across the board. In fact, at the bottom, underneath of that 2 that they have there, performance priority mode, adjust screen resolution and load balancer to approach 60 FPS. And then we have a resolution priority mode, which load balance functions at a fixed max resolution with a lower limit of 30 FPS, and there are differences in the display of grass and other ground objects depending on the console. I'm sure no one will zoom into that on Twitter and talk about it, but we can see the PS5 and the Xbox Series X both offer 2160p options, and the Series S will be coming in at 1440p. We'll also have the performance mode that you can try out. Unfortunately, for the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, looks like those will just be up to 30 FPS. I do recommend using the performance mode in something like Elden Ring, where reaction time, of course, is going to be very, very key. I don't know if it's worth necessarily having more grass on the ground as opposed to being able to react faster at a higher frame rate. Oh, and just a heads up, it does look like Amazon has started their buy 2, get the 3rd free sale on video games, as well as a couple of other things. But if you go over to their website, they have a link for this sale. And I mean, we can scroll through some of the games here. It's pretty good. Like, there are some newer titles here. Call of Duty Vanguard feels like no one realized that came out on Friday, but I mean, that's in there. You know what game is better than I was expecting? Is Hot Wheels Unleashed. That's actually pretty fun. I've been playing it here and there on the Xbox, but Guardians of the Galaxy also on this list here, as well as some older titles. You have like Spider-Man, or you can pick up a physical copy of Hades. It's pretty cool. There's Super Monkey Ball. Basically, there are a lot of pretty good games to go through here, and if you pick up 3 of them, you're only going to pay for 2, so you're going to be saving money across the board. Worth taking a look here, though, at the sale to see if there's anything you want to pick up and add to that backlog that, once again, isn't getting too big. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo's big game that's already leaked online. That's Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Go figure, though, this happens every single time leading up to a Switch release, and this one's interesting because the Pokemon Company most likely will get involved in some way here, but basically, online, we started seeing people pop up with video and pictures, video of the game itself being played on the Switch, screenshots, and even pictures of the Switch cartridge, which tells me a street date was broken somewhere. A retailer just sold it early, or it found its way out of a warehouse. Now, I was hearing that some reviewers are starting to get the game so that they can, of course, play through it and give their thoughts on it leading up to release. I do at times get concerned that that's where it comes from, but in this case, it looks like it is from a street date that was just broken by a retailer just randomly over the weekend. And then obviously, if you have access to a Switch that can be modded or hacked or soft modded, you can then dump the cartridge and put it online, and that appears to be something that's going on as well. People are downloading the game and just playing them and sharing videos that then turn into people criticizing the game because of animations, music, any of this. The thing with the Diamond and Pearl, I feel like a lot of people have accepted that this isn't like the big Pokemon game that they're working towards. Yes, it's Pokemon. There's 2 different versions. It's playing off nostalgia, but I think at this point, most of the Pokemon fans are looking towards Arceus as like that big aha moment for the franchise, the big game that everyone's working towards currently. And this is just kind of a game that they've passed off to Ilka to try to recreate the nostalgia from back on the DS. Now, I mentioned that the Pokemon Company will get involved. Well, I will tell you this, the reason I'm not showing any footage of this stuff, pictures, none of that, is because they will come through and they'll just copyright strike claim. They'll get videos pulled down. I'm a little surprised that some YouTube videos are still up, but hey, it was the weekend. Maybe we'll see the Pokemon Company come out in full force Monday or Tuesday and just start pulling down videos and striking channels. On Twitter, however, I have seen some actually get pulled down already, so we'll see there. My thought here, though, is will the Pokemon Company start to track again, because they've done this before, where these retail leaks are coming from? Because we know the Pokemon Company is serious. They've taken people to court and won over different things when it comes to leaks out of strategy guides, new Pokemon they weren't ready to reveal, and obviously there were spoilers being posted everywhere, which they're spoilers now. So I know these are based on Diamond and Pearl, so it's like, how much can you really spoil? Well, I mean, it's possible. There could be some stuff in there that they threw in and they're like, hey, this could be fun for, yes, nostalgia purposes, people who played those old games. We'll throw some new stuff in as well. And yeah, you would technically have that spoiled for you just randomly online scrolling through Twitter. So I guess be careful out there. You never know. You could have a screenshot just thrown in front of you and there you go. You have it spoiled. But the game's coming out here in 2 weeks or so. Here's hoping you can get there before something major gets spoiled for you, and I guess we'll find out if the Pokemon Company starts reacting to some of these leaks online. Next up, let's talk about Microsoft's big release that technically came out last week in early access. That's Forza Horizon 5. We did talk about the review scores, it doing very, very well, sitting around a 91 now on Metacritic, which makes it the highest rated game of the year, but we've talked about this before, it's a racing game. They don't tend to find their way into the Game of the Year conversation, but who knows? It could always happen, right? But it looks like people are responding favorably to that early access that was offered, where it's like $100 and there's a certain version of the game you can get and you could start playing days early, or you could spend $45 or $50 if you're in Game Pass and get some like premium DLC pack that includes early access. Take a look at this here, this spotted by VGC, where they say, according to the Racers Hall of Fame leaderboard, which compares stats against every other player in the game, some 800,000 users across PC and Xbox are already playing the game, and that being, of course, through the $100 Premium Edition, which includes early access. Standard Edition and Game Pass access don't go live until Forza Horizon 5's official release date of Tuesday, November 9th, and then they go over that Game Pass subscribers can currently purchase the Premium Edition's add-ons at $45, which, yeah, that means that they've already made quite a bit of money on it, like somewhere between $40 and $60 million total, and the game's technically not out yet. But remember, the biggest thing that Microsoft really cares about, especially now with Game Pass, is engagement. And the fact that they are finding some pretty good engagement now ahead of the release on Tuesday for a game that reviewed very well. But Forza Horizon games tend to do pretty well in general. They're high quality games, and Playground Games has continued to get better and better at making them. It makes sense, and it's a good thing too, because Microsoft was going into the holidays, obviously, to start the year, wasn't great for them in terms of releases, but they've, at least so far, done Psychonauts 2, which did very well in terms of reviews. They're doing Forza Horizon 5, and now they could be ending out with another big release with Halo Infinite, We got to see what happens with 343 for that one. I think there's a lot of people who are in the mindset of you got to prove it's still 343. But from the multiplayer that I played with the flight, it was pretty good. And I'm sure we'll have early access in some way for that game as that was leaked out. And maybe we'll get similar stats to this where we can compare how many people are paying out for the Halo early access. But it seems so far Forza Horizon 5 is doing well, and I have a feeling that number is going to jump exponentially when we roll into tomorrow and it finally releases. I will be checking it out, and I'm sure I'll have a blast with it. I enjoy the Forza Horizon series, and yeah, I recommend anyone trying it out. If you're even just curious about a racing game, this I think is very approachable and fun because it does lean in kind of the arcadey nature of an open world racing game. So make sure you check that out tomorrow. Next up, let's talk about Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch Online service, which is something that's pretty much been covered in controversy since Nintendo announced that there was going to be a paid online service, much different than what they've ever done before, the Wii U even being free, the Wii and so on there. But $20 a year, yeah, there was a lot of back and forth on that from a lot of people online, but we did have numbers shared by Nintendo, and we can see it in this slide here. 32 million members. Now, this is as of September 2021, so this would not include anything with the Nintendo 64 Genesis expansion pass that they've done. I don't know if they'll ever really break down those numbers for us, like separate them out, but it was good at least to get this number here. This means it would be up about 6 million, I believe, from last year when they reported over 26 million. And the big thing you have to remember for this, it looks like a big number, but there is some inflation going on here from Nintendo because they're counting individual members' accounts for family memberships. So if you have a family membership and you have like, I don't know, what, 8 people on there or something, they're counting all 8 people despite it being under one account. So it's not necessarily one-to-one like, oh, every person, every one of these 32 million are paying $20 a year. We also had a statement from Furukawa talking about the Switch Online and some of their plans going forward, saying the number of members who are subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online and service for Nintendo Switch users is increasing along with the growth of the hardware install base. It has reached more than 32 million accounts as of September 2021. By enhancing services, we have increased the opportunities for members to continue playing Nintendo Switch. These enhancements include game trial events, which allow users to play a specific title during a specific time period, and the addition of member-exclusive games. Last month, we released Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, a new membership plan that adds content to the existing service. Going forward, we will continue to improve and expand both Nintendo Switch Online and Switch Online Plus expansion pack, striving to provide services that satisfy consumers. And they did talk quite a bit about the Switch's overall success and how they are reinvesting a lot of that money back into plans going forward for game development and the online. And I want to say they'll improve just the basic functionality of the online service. I kind of feel like Nintendo is thinking, if we just keep throwing enough stuff at it, 64 games, Genesis games, Game Boy games, eventually people won't care as much that there's no voice chat or just basic features with messaging. They'll just be like, oh, there's so much content here when it comes to older games that it's kind of worth $50 a year now. Maybe they do throw in more downloadable content. I mean, there are things they can do with that, but I still feel like if they just focused and built out the basic online for that $20 a year service, they could probably end up charging closer to what Microsoft and Sony is charging and then build out their own Game Pass with all of those older titles. It just seems really short-sighted overall by Nintendo here, and it kind of locks people in to potentially stuff they don't necessarily want. Like, I know they added the DLC for Animal Crossing, which is pretty cool. It's great for people who like Animal Crossing, but if you don't really see a lot of benefit in getting access to that with the subscription that you're now paying for. Of course, that's if you're going up for 64 games, but for $20 a year, it still would be nice to get more added to the online service, and maybe Nintendo has finally heard everyone. The only issue is it's kind of late in the generation, and it seems like that might be a next-gen feature. Be able to message your friends. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a brand new Mega Man on the Switch. Unfortunately, it's not a brand new Mega Man game. Like, we can see this here. This is a new Hori Nintendo Switch Split Pad Pro. It's officially licensed by Nintendo and Capcom, and there we have it. The newest entry in the Mega Man series. Their grips for the Switch. This is not at all what I meant when I said that I wanted a new Mega Man on the Switch, but here we are. It's going for $59.99. They do have pre-orders open now, and it will be releasing December 17th. I mean, I like the design of the Split Pad Pro. They have several screenshots of it here. would like to see maybe a little bit more from Mega Man than just this. Hey, maybe they're just gearing up for a big release, a big reveal of a new Mega Man game, and they're just making sure people remember that Mega Man exists with a controller, because now I just see people looking at Rush and saying it's the dog from Monster Hunter, the DLC that they added in here. Anyway, I guess if you want new controllers for your Switch and you like the Split Pad Pro and you're thinking about it, yeah, go ahead, grab something for Mega Man. Maybe that's what Capcom needs. They need to know if people buy these controllers, that it'll be worth making a new Mega Man game. Or, I don't know, maybe I'll get lucky and they have been working on one, but we saw that Capcom leak and there was nothing really Mega Man related in there. And that ended up being absolutely correct in terms of that leak. So who knows, maybe next generation for the Switch, Nintendo and Capcom can get together and make some more controllers. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking a little poll that I posted up yesterday where I asked, are you surprised to hear that Nintendo currently has at least 32 million people signed up to their Switch paid online service? 34% said yes, that's more than I thought. 66% said no, it's required to play online, so it seems about right. I saw some people mention that's more than Game Pass. Well, I mean, yeah, it's $20 a year versus $15 a month. Bit of a difference in terms of revenue there and cost. I feel like the $20 a year just kind of, people look at that and go, well, it's $20. I would like to play some of these games online, whether it's Smash Brothers or Mario Kart, or if anyone remembers ARMS or Splatoon, right? And we have some of those games coming up here as well. So it's just kind of there and people go, well, fine. I mean, there's enough Nintendo and Super Nintendo games there where, yeah, it kind of feels like it would be worth $20 in that regard. But still, 32 million, it's all right. I just feel like Nintendo could do more with the online and actually get more people signed up and make more money if they're willing to, you know, build out the online. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Alex saying, playing more Far Cry 6 this weekend. It's way better than some people have made it seem. It's just a fun one-man army action movie simulator. So I did finish up Far Cry 6. It's okay. I mean, there are parts where you're going through it and a lot of stuff just start feeling the same. You get that Ubisoft fatigue thrown in there, right? And it's just like, okay, I'm gonna go to this base, I'm gonna clear everything out. I'm gonna go to the next base, I'm gonna clear everything out, and then I'm gonna go to this checkpoint, I'm gonna clear everything out. And that's kind of what it was doing over and over again. Fishing was kind of cool. They threw that in there. And the only issue I had was I was hoping that the story overall, the set of events leading up to the final act, and would really make up for it. And he just never did. And then after you finish the game, they want you to keep going. So they have like a live service aspect to it where they'll continue to add in more events that are just you going to the base and clearing it out and then going to the checkpoint and then clearing. That seems like what they want to keep doing to keep you playing Far Cry 6. I just think the whole thing needs a reboot. I think they don't have to number it. Just call it Far Cry something else and just come up with a whole new concept for the game and go from there. I just feel like what Ubisoft has done now, a map with like 18 million points on it, with Far Cry, it's kind of run its course. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike, leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. Taylor's Pokemon Diamond and Pearl leaking out early. I don't think anyone's surprised at this point, but I guess let me know your best strategy to avoid any leaks heading up to the release of these games in a couple of weeks. Also, what about Forza Horizon 5? Pretty strong start for it out of the gate. Are you checking it out tomorrow when it hits Game Pass, or did you already pick it up in early access? And do you think we're ever gonna get anything with Mega Man again? Because it feels like Capcom kind of forgot about the Blue Bomber unless they got to sell some controllers. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.